Hey people, in the Egyptian Ogdode, all the feminine, the wives, have the same name as the men, except they have this feminine on here. It's a bread loaf, or maybe it's a tit, and it looks like a ov or an egg, and I replace it with a ov or ou, and it just makes sense. I noticed that a lot of our English words come from the old Egyptian, and it looks like an oval. From the ovaries, and I believe ova is the word for egg in many languages. But you see, all the women, they have the same name, and that's all the change in there. The feminine has the same name, just as the bread loaf and the ova. And so the Egyptologists, they don't pronounce this, they just call this determinative. And I don't remember if I was reading in the Greek or the Hebrew when I noticed this, but it looked like when the Vav and the Aleph come together that they replace with a TE or a DE. It's like the ova. And so this read a TELE, a tell it, willed it. And these are the generations, to tell who's in the wheel, a tell it, willed it. And this is just country, if you go a couple counties north here, you'll find toot and tell it's, and you pull up in your truck, you toot the horn, the girl come out, and you tell her what you want. They have everything. It's a redneck drive-through. And so I was reading here in these generations, and I think it was in the Hamites maybe, that it really shows off that that's what that is. Here in the Hamites, the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim, Egypt, and Foot and Canaan. And it doesn't start down here until Canaan. Canaan begets Side and his firstborn and Heth. And then it comes up with all these ites, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgashite, and the Havite. Except you look at these words, and it's just, this is the JBUSI, and then TE, the ite. And the Amorite, and the Girgashite. So that lets me know that they do read right on through these. And the Havite, and the Arkite, and the Sinite, the Arvadite, and the Zamarite. And here, the Hamite, it doesn't have this and after, or what, or sometimes I read that as a det, as a determinative, D-E-T, or T-E-D, T-E-T. And the Hamith, but it still has the ite here, the T-E, the I-T-E. All these are ending with the I, and here's the T-E over here. The Hamithite churn puts a speech what. Every family had their own language. The speech what, the can any. Everybody in that family, any, can, the can any. The speech what, the can any. And so I like to run into these things, because it just confirms. I don't remember where I was reading that made me think that that's how that works. And there's many letter combinations. I know I haven't found all of them yet. It's just things I figure out while reading. There is no book on it. There is nobody to tell you this. So I'm always happy to find some confirmation. But the meaning in these words is when you read them backwards, it's determinative, a det, and then in is the Sinite. And so this is that ova and the loaf and the ova, when you look at this backwards. And that's what I do when I hit this determinative here. I read these backwards. You see it in all the names and in the cartouches. So then when you're reading it backwards, that's the det, the determinative, D-E-T. And so the old sailor would read this as a what, and a what means the same thing as a determinative. It's talking about, you're a swabby what takes orders from pirates. The determinative. What kind of swabby? The kind that takes orders from pirates. A what? And so sometimes I read that as what, but I always look for the det in there to see if it has more meaning in the word. And you see it if you don't read with the marks, and it's then the det is in, and the det each with. And so that's where your word debt comes from. And what is a debt? A debt is somebody you owe. And that's the determinative. You go to work determined because you owe. Hi ho, hi ho. Off to work I go. So I was wanting to read this Genesis 6 about the Nephilim here. And I've read a couple times before. And I just read the whole story of Noah. And I learned more things. Like I say, there's no way to learn these letter combinations. And so as I learn these tricks, I go back and read again, and I see different things in there. But you'll see this word in Genesis 1, and yea, let there be, and there was, and yea. And they'll change this up, and it came to pass. So it just doesn't happen like lightning when God says let there be. It just means that it came to pass. And it came to pass meant the yeas have it. We're voting on something. And the yea. And it came to pass. We passed that bill. The yeas have it. And it means more as yea. I would like. I'm a yes vote. So it means more of and was. Or and is. And is a kill backwards. Achille chill. A Chiliarch, the leader of the armies, the chill, the armies, arc, the head, the top. So the chill and the kill all comes from this word here. And yea, oh, kill he chill. I had 'em lore all in place, all in pond, had me. And so this lets me know the earth is speaking, had me. Of in what? Had me of in what? And the daughters. And had me of in what yield. That's where children come from, the ILD. And will them. This is a THEM. Will them, or will 'em. And yea, Killy Chill had 'em luring. His luring, he had gold on every finger. He was a lady killer. And yea, Killy Chill had 'em luring. All in pond had me. Of in what yield will them. And were, this is like a WRE here. And were of. And had me of in what yield will them. Were of. Benny mine. MIEN. The L followed by the A reads as an N. A mind. That's the power of the mind. And that's, will follow orders. Benny mine. And Benny mine. And A is ES. And Benny mine is all him. All the children are mine. And mine at, and the double T read as an I. And mine Addie when Ben what? Addie when Ben what? The daughters. That's where everybody's wanting to go. I want your daughters, and not your sister. And Addie when Ben what had 'em. See the butt. That were beautiful. To see the butt. And the EN, you might read that as in, or in it, and it's where the word between come from. It's a "een" as in a chemical bond when it's bonded on both sides. You might read that as a have, a EVE, and a have a wife. The wife will them. And wife means who fuck will them. And wife would be a more proper word for the children. And happy wife will emancipate, to emancipate, to set them free, emancipate. And then the double M reading is the I, that's where Michael comes from. But emancipate I classer, And this is the BH, that's the sacrifice, the bitch. It's a bitch when you go on the sacrifice table. And it's to bear who yammer, who says, you in a nudie, and done her which obeyed 'em, and said, you in a nudie, take your clothes off, and done her which obeyed 'em, and followed orders to all from a vestigum. The vestige is all the women in your kingdom. A vestige and met, M-E-T, the V-A reading as a T-E. And the vestige met of sure view. And so the view is, V-E-I-W. V-I-E-W is you looking in the window, and a V-I-E-W is them looking back at you. Ensure view 'em, a view 'em. And the days is coming from over here. The Y-U-M is the days. The yummies was reminiscent. Like a reminiscing and 20 years later and thinking back, and was reminiscent. And infellum, infellum, I fell a tree, or I go looking for women, I'm trying to fell a girl, and not Nephilim, infellum, Huberts. And Huberts are the bright ones. Hubert, old German, bright mind, intelligent, bright. Infellum Huberts, the bright ones, by-in, B-Y-E-N, this reads, by in him, H-I-M, in him, and come mature, and also after, say, mature, and come mature in can, backwards, and mature in can as arrive of, when came in is when you arrive of. Benny mine is all him, all tune been what had 'em, and yield will them hemma, blood, hemorrhaging him, and yield with them blood the giver, the mighty men, the government is going out taking women, the governor, assure from old mancy-ism. The old mancy, it's romance with an old man. That's a 18-year-old girl, what a 65-year-old man is assure from the old mancy-ism, of an old and renowned man from the old mancy-ism. And were, W-R-E, were juicy, and that fat ass, they were juicy. And were a juicer in erotica, the great wickedness of man is in erotatum. It makes your brain rot. Word juicer in erotatum. Barrett's. And if you was reading without the mark, it's a Barrett's, a clitzer. But Barrett's suckle Rex, the king, it's her much is but love worker. The much is but love worker, a love worker. His heart was altogether evil. The love worker, a call. A worker, a call. Mui, M-U-I, much. A hyam. Wine, W-I-N-E. A wine, a juicy, is, and as. And as eat, E-A-T, as eat, a metis, M-D-E-S, a metis had Barrett's, bringing my medicine. Some people's medicine is blueberry pie, and some is hookers. And had Barrett's, who toxin, bring me my poison. Why a toxin? A toxin of love to boo. So his poison is a love of booty. And a yammer. And like I say, this is part of grammar. GR is the writing part, and this is the rules, and who rules and who commands. It's not just in said, but in commanded, And yammer, you ham, a hammy eat, a metis hadum, as a writer, brate. And brate, that's an old Scottish word for creating, and all the old the writing with knots and ropes and braids, all the old knots had a meaning, the brate. And as a writer, brate, and created in rate, and braid 'em all upon had me madam ad, mad, them have me, ads and rumswood. It's where your word wormwood comes from. This is where worm comes from, the creepy things on the ground, the rumswood. And few of a pheasant, F-E-S-E-N-C, a pheasant. So that's where they're getting the birds. And the few of pheasants in amity, see a sightum. And then it starts, Noah's favor. And like I say, Noah's just the NH, and it's not a Noah, it's just a NH. And it's letting you know that when you see the E following the N reads as a bet. And so it's letting you know it here that this is about new. It's the high water mark. And that's why it's about the flood. This is new here. And usually his body's covered with the water lines, the N. And so one N is N, and 2 is knee, and 3 is new, but it's also moo. And so everybody comes from the land of moo, means their land's underwater. It's a flooded season. And so it's the beginning of the year, the moo, the new year, the moo, the first day. But it seems to be more about not building an ark, but building a jail for all the hoodlums running loose. And it seems that the fine was 40 days and 40 nights. And so I'll read some more into this in the next flick. It's kind of long here. I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.